The turn. Go from like spooky to model face. I'm just a skeleton.
Well, hello, my pretties. Welcome to the Clear Pod, the Halloween edition. Today, I have Travis with me. He's here to tell me his ghost story. And then later on, we're going to bring Rich in, who also has a ghost story. So, welcome, Travis. Travis Crane, in case anybody's wondering, with Clear Cannabis Inc. He's been with us before. And welcome, Travis. Glad to have you back.
Happy to be back, especially for a spooky Halloween episode.
All right, so you told me that you had a ghost story, but maybe a couple of them, at least one ghost story that you thought of.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you two in about 30 seconds because they're pretty lame. There's no like cool backstory or anything.
We're not going to need sound effects. You're not going to tell us about like creaking doors or anything.
I could, some of that's involved. So
Okay.
maybe I'll provide some sound effects where applicable.
Okay. So set the scene for us. What year was
Scene.
it? When was it?
A suburban neighborhood in rural Pennsylvania.
Ooh.
Let's see. I had a car at this point, so I was probably 17
Okay.
something in high school. I had ran out my front door. My car was parked out front and I needed to grab something. So I run out the front door, go to close it behind me. It doesn't close all the way, but it's in like that halfway point where like it's in the frame but not fully closed.
Right.
So like it's not just going to open on its own sort of thing. So I get whatever I need from the car, and then I'm like jogging back up to the house, and as soon as I get to the front steps, the front door just swings open.
Ew.
Yeah, right in front of me. At that point, like I'm not I wouldn't say I'm not like scared of ghosts or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would find it hard to believe that like that house is haunted, but I also don't buy into the whole thing that like ghosts are tied down to like one place, you know? So maybe somebody else's ghost wandered into my house or something. I don't know. But basically I just walked through the door and I said, "Thank you," out loud and just shut the door and went about my day. And then the other thing that happened, same house, I think it was probably a couple years earlier. I was upstairs walking down the hallway. I was home alone and basically, when you go up the stairs in the house, my parents' bedroom was right there, and then my bedroom was all the way down the hall at the other end. So I go up the stairs and I'm walking down the hall, and right about the time I get to my room, I hear someone whisper, "Hey." And I like stop for a second. I'm like looking around. I'm not like hearing anything else or seeing anything else. And that was it.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. Super spooky. Yeah. I guess it's not a ghost story, but I could tell you about a night terror I had that felt very real. So for people who aren't familiar with night terrors, they usually go hand in hand with sleep paralysis, which this is literally the only time I've ever had sleep paralysis and the only time I've ever had a dream like this. I woke up in the middle of the night,
Wait, hold on. Same house?
same house.
Okay, I am beginning to think maybe it wasn't the house, maybe it was the land the house was built on or something. 'Cause this
Maybe.
is where every single spooky thing that you've had happen happened
Yeah.
at this house in Pennsylvania.
Well, so I guess doxing myself here, but I went to a high school called Susquehannock. It was in the Susquehanna Valley. So, like the Susquehannock natives, I'm
Mhm.
sure maybe there's burial ground or something, who knows. But I wake up in the middle of the night, realize I can't move, and I hear my bedroom door slowly creaking open. Sound effect, please. Yes. And so I'm laying there, I hear the door, so I look over and I see a figure come into my room. And the only way I'm like I can describe what it looks like is kind of like in the movie Predator when he uses his like cloaking thing where like you can kind of still see the outline of it, but it just distorts everything around it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it looked like, but it didn't have like any distinguishable features like legs or anything. It was just like this floating, translucent like mass, and it starts coming towards my bed, and like somehow immediately I know in my head that like it's not a good thing. And so I start getting really scared and I don't know what to do other than like pray. So I start saying the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, blah, blah, blah. And the craziest part is I get to the part where you're supposed to say, and forgive those who trespass against us. But for some reason, that was the one part I couldn't remember in that moment. Like, as I'm getting trespassed on, I can't say, forgive those who trespass against us. Like, it's just not in my head.
Right.
So it comes over, and then it's literally over top of me on my bed. I feel it start to pick me up off of my bed, and then it drops me, and I wake up. But when I wake up, my heels are up by my butt. Like I've literally gotten picked up and dropped and tried to like catch myself with my legs.
What? That just gave me goosebumps. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty weird.
I laid there for a good bit after that, just like eyes wide open, like, what happened? Like, I was afraid to go back to sleep after that. And it never happened again, hasn't happened since.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And
Part of me likes to believe, like, oh, maybe it was like an alien abduction or something, but
okay, so are you more likely to believe alien abduction versus ghosts?
I'd say at this point they're both equally likely and unlikely at the same time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But, I'm a believer in the whole like quantum mechanics idea of matter can't be created or destroyed. If your soul or spirit is a real thing, then it's probably made of matter, which means it can't be destroyed. So something has to happen to it after you die, but we don't know what. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Makes it fun to think about.
Have you heard there's like a myth about Colorado, like living in Colorado? So because, Colorado, there were indigenous people who lived here who were very happy until we showed up and then took it over.
Mhm.
And so what I've heard is that they cursed the land. So if you move to Colorado, you can never leave. You can try and people will move away for a while, but for some reason they're always like, "Oh, I got to go back to Colorado. I got to go back." And you never actually can leave permanently. Like it always ends up you come back.
If that's the case, that really backfired on the natives because
Well, but
they're
they
like, "Oh, you
figured,
want to stay here?
yeah,
Then
but that was the curse. Is fine. You want to kill us? You want to stay here?
even when you
You
leave."
can never leave. Was what happened. So that I don't know, but just something interesting. And I've
That's good to know.
never had anybody that I've known that has been able to leave permanently. And
Yeah.
so
Well, actually, speaking of Colorado, I have an anti-ghost story, as in very anticlimactic ghost story. So, one of the main parks in Denver is Cheeseman Park,
right.
and it has a history of before it was a park, it was a graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
And when they decided to turn it into a park, they had to relocate all the bodies, but some families didn't claim the bodies that were there. So the rumor is that a bunch of bodies were just left
Mm-hmm.
in the park. And supposedly, like if you're there at a certain time around sundown, you can see the shadows of the humps where the graves still are and all that. So me and my old roommate went to Cheeseman Park at 2 a.m with the assistance of some psychedelic substances.
Oh,
So we were the most susceptible to any type of paranormal, weird, unusual things happening. We went and stood in that park for probably 30 minutes to an hour, didn't hear a thing, didn't see a thing. So after that, I was just like, it's probably bullshit.
or maybe all
But
of those spirits have moved on and they're happy now.
yeah, yeah, maybe I just didn't get lucky. But there's a bunch of theories around Cheeseman and what you could see and like hearing kids and some shadow figure walking around. But I feel like a lot of the time it's like somebody saw someone walking at night and got scared and said it was a shadow figure or something, but who knows?
We'll
It's all
never,
fun.
we'll never know.
Yeah,
It's just fun for stories.
yeah. Unless you bring an EMF detector and all the ghost gear,
I
then you
feel
might
like
find.
you know a lot about this for somebody who's not into ghosts.
Oh, well, no, I love watching ghost videos and stuff.
Ah, okay.
Um, but when you watch a lot of ghost videos, you you can see how like people can fake them, I'll just say there's a lot of invisible string involved in a lot of ghost videos.
Oh man, that's not nearly as much fun. Well, I would love to. So I'm going to have a conversation with Rich next, and he's going to tell us a story about what is now known as the 420 Hotel, which you
Oh,
and I have talked
yes.
about. And I really want to try to do an episode or a clip where we go to like the haunted part of that
I
hotel.
was actually just there a couple weekends ago. I had some friends come into town, and because that's only like doxing myself again, a few blocks from where I live. That's still a wide area. A lot of people live there. I'm not worried.
For all those stalkers who are looking for
Yeah,
you, they're gonna come find you.
please, I need friends.
Even stalkers, stalkers are good. Okay,
I've never stayed in the actual hotel. I don't think I've actually been in the hotel itself. I've only been into like the bar, which has its own separate entrance.
right.
Um, I definitely want to stay there when it like launches as an actual consumption hotel because that's like a one of a kind thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm excited to hear Rich's ghost story too because I haven't heard much
Well,
about it being haunted until you told me. So
stay tuned.
I will.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me, and I'm gonna go grab Rich.
All right, spooky transition.
Welcome back, friends, to our very scary, one time only Halloween special.
We're not going to run it over and over for years.
No, we'll do a different one next year.
Okay. All right.
You'll have to come up with a different story. So we're here. We're back on the Clear Pod, and I have Rich Batenburg of Clear Cannabis, and we're telling ghost stories today. And we actually had a meeting last week. We were talking about the 420 Hotel,
Right.
and
Right.
you used to office in that building.
I did.
Okay.
I did. Yeah. It was, a long time ago. It was in like the late 80s. Is it actually 420 Pennsylvania or is it on? I mean, I don't even know. I used to just say come to 11th and Penn.
I
And the
think
parking was always bad.
I think the address is actually 420.
Yeah. Yeah. So in that's just, serendipity.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was talking to Chris, the owner, about it, and obviously I know the building because at the time it was called the Crook-Patterson-Campbell Mansion, I believe those were the previous like three owners, and it has an interesting history. Like,
Super interesting, like a little spooky, right?
yeah,
because
totally.
because the history of the owners.
Well, it's the stuff that happened over the years, uh, prior to me moving in there. So when we moved in there, then of course the stories start. There was three or four different businesses in there. We didn't have the whole thing, and my office was on the third floor. I mean, this for those of you that have not seen this building, if you drive past it and you go, "Well, that house is probably haunted," just
Yeah.
it looks like that, and I can attest that it's haunted.
Well, and
Period.
you know the history of the building a little bit. Like there was something about the owners.
Well, so I mean, I know the legends, I
Okay.
would call that.
Okay.
And then I know my personal experience. So which would you like to hear first?
Let's go with the legends. We'll set the backstory.
Okay. So there's three or four kind of broad examples, if you will, that happened over the years. At one time in the past, it was like a boarding house, and there was one of the tenants became obsessed with a room in the basement, and it was kind of like a storage room, and the house is so old it had a brick foundation. It wasn't concrete poured like I do today. And you remember in Close Encounters when Richard Dreyfuss is throwing all the dirt and stuff into the room, and he builds Devil's Slump.
Right.
So it was kind of like that. He was just obsessed with opening this wall. And it was actually not a foundational wall, nor do I think it was load bearing, but there was a void behind it, like another room. And the story is, I didn't witness this. Obviously, it was like back in the 50s or something. With a hammer or a pick or something, took down this wall. I mean, like it's right out of a movie. Like he red bricks,
Mm-hmm.
made a hole in the wall, and he supposedly went through it with a flashlight and experienced something and ran out the front door of the house and would not ever come back.
Oh my gosh.
So that was the story.
You know what's so interesting about that is Travis was just telling us the story about so the 420 hotel that's there now, they had the bar in the basement, which is
Well,
like known for being haunted.
well, that whole area, that's story number two that I'll tell you.
Well, they had to move the bar. That
Because
supposedly because of flooding.
okay, well, let me
But
tell you,
okay.
I was going to save that one, but that room was like a parlor, and it's kind of what you would call garden level, so it's not all the way submerged, and it has an unbelievably beautiful fireplace, a really big fire. I mean, it was there to heat the house, right? So it was a big, not very deep. The way they used to build fireplaces was to get the heat
Oh,
out.
yeah.
So it was really cool uh, from a cool perspective, like neat.
Hmm.
It was also cool in that when you walked in that room, it was about 10 or 15 degrees colder than the bottom of the stairs when you came down. When you went into that room, it felt colder. And I experienced that. And the legend around that one, and I believe Chris actually verified this, the Catholic Church had a sanctioned exorcism in that room.
What?
Yes, yes. So yeah, and now I wasn't there for that. Obviously, that happened many years before, but that was the thing. All I can say personally is that room gave you the huzz.
Even after the exorcism, you'd still walk
Well,
in.
this was years and years. I was there like in, I don't know, 87, 88, 89, something like that. I can't even remember now, but it was late 80s, and that room, it felt odd. Like the hair in the back of your neck would stand up, and it was colder. Now, some of that may have been because I knew the story. I don't know, but I can tell you it was weird.
Well, they
Um,
can't have the bar down there now, so
well, I think that had to do with the well, they want to have a smoking lounge or something like that, like a cigar bar, or it's for they want to have a consumption lounge, and I think they had to put in some kind of massive air handling or something.
I don't know.
But maybe it's not there now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, the other story that's kind of before I get to my other personal experience, around the time I guess when it was a boarding house, there was supposedly one of the owners or one of the tenants or whatever had dogs, Dobermans, like,
Big dogs.
big,
Yeah.
three of them. And supposedly something went down and the dogs went through the glass windows in the turrets that are on the side, out on the second floor, through the windows. The
What?
dogs exited through the glass windows.
The dogs were so scared,
Yes,
they jumped out of the windows on the second floor. I've never
that's
heard
the
of
story.
animals doing that. Wow.
That's the story. That's the story. Obviously I went around for that, but that was one of the stories.
That is super creepy.
Yeah. So, you take that for what it's worth. Maybe it's just a good story, but it's kind of creepy. And when you pair that with the exorcism, it's kind of
And
like,
the guy who dug the hole and then
yeah,
ran away. So
yeah,
did you know all this before you started working there? Like you moved your office in, you're like, oh great, this is the where I'm gonna have my office.
absolutely not.
Okay. Yeah. So you did not know any of that. You moved in.
No. In fact, I still lived in Fort Collins and I would drive down nearly every day because we had the club in Fort Collins, and we had a club in Boulder, and we had a club down in, the one that's still there in downtown Larimer Square. And I was, I would come down there like, I don't know, around 11, 12, and I'd work and do administrative stuff. And then I would go to the clubs,
Mhm.
so, the club opened at 7. So I'd go downtown. So I wasn't there at night very often. And after the following happened, I was never there at night again. So I was there. So it was dark. It was probably, I think it was winter. So, it gets dark a little earlier. So, it was probably, 6:37. I needed to get down to the club because it was opening, but I was working late and I was the only one in the building. And my office, like I said, I was on the third floor and I was in the room that it was a bedroom, and I can't remember which one of the Crook, Patterson, or Campbell. The one of the stories was that they had a female child that either died or was killed or something. It was another one of these stories. Um, and I was just working, this was, before the internet and email and all that. I was using a Mac SE,
Right.
doing a database thing. And um, I heard something in the hallway. So I had this office, and behind me, my desk was looking out the front onto 11th. And um, behind me was the door, and there was a hallway, and there was a bathroom on the other side of the hallway. And I heard something like somebody was in the bathroom, and the door, it wasn't like a slam or a creak or anything like that. It wasn't a movie thing, right? It was like rustling. It was somebody in the bathroom. And I didn't really think much of it until I went, well, I know I'm the only one here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, kind of all these ghost stories is like, huh, I wonder what the hell that is. So I kind of turned in my chair, and I got up and went to the door, and this, like, call it a 9-year-old girl went running down the hall.
What?
And it was not really a totally solid form. And she turned and went in one of the rooms down the hall.
What? That totally just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
What?
I'm not a big, like, I don't like horror, although, in my past I made horror movies, but I'm not really into that. I don't watch horror films or anything like that. I'm not really into that stuff. So, but that made me a believer. So, true or not, I swear on a stack, something went running down the hall that looked like one of my daughters when they were young. Was it like a 3.5, 4 footer
Just running.
run down? She had long hair, long blonde hair,
Oh my gosh.
and
And was that it? You were just like,
oh, I got the fuck out of there. Yeah. Well, as I was on the third floor, that was the little girl, not really that, other than it was like odd, it was like, whatever make them dogs go out the window.
I don't want
Sticking
to
around
find
for
out.
that.
Yeah. Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, I got out the window, or I got out the window. I went down to the club, like,
Oh,
but it was like, for a while, I didn't stay past, any, like an hour before sunset. I was out of there.
oh, yeah.
so,
Oh, I don't blame
so,
you.
yeah, so that was, my only real experience with whatever supernatural or whatever.
Hmm.
Uh, but it was all in that house. So it was kind of funny when it became the 420 hotel. It was the first thing I said when I saw the picture. I'm like, well, that's the Crook-Patterson-Campbell Mansion. So one of them was a doctor of some kind, one of those Crook-Patterson or Campbell, and supposedly I think it was a doctor. It supposedly killed his wife in the house,
Oh
and
gosh.
and I think that happened on the third floor as well. And my recollection is that that's the room that the daughter ran into when I,
Oh,
whatever I saw that
yeah.
that went into that room.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I take it for what it's worth. I'll tell you what, it's a very nice building, and I will go there again, and probably not at night though.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I really appreciate you sharing your spooky story with us. Is there anything else you want to tell us on the theme of Halloween? Maybe siblings you used to scare or
Well, yeah. So, I have a younger brother. He's, 3.5, 4 years younger than me. So, um, I used to, I used to play pranks on him like all older brothers, kind of what you're supposed to do, right? But it was pretty elaborate. I got pretty good at scaring the shit out of him.
oh
Almost,
gosh.
almost. So the best one, well, there were two really good ones. One was I waited under his bed for a long, long time and reached out up and
Oh
around
my
and
gosh.
grabbed his head.
And
Uh,
he still has post-traumatic stress disorder,
oh, he
right?
would say after I'd scare him, "You're gonna give me a heart attack." Um, but I think the best one was so we shared a bathroom and had two sinks and a tub shower that was kind of set in, and then a toilet at the end of the sinks. So we had a plastic shower curtain thing. So I laid in the tub
Oh
with
my
the
God.
shower curtain pulled for a long time, waiting, hoping he would get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and he did.
Oh my
And
God.
so he was on the and,
Oh my
and I
goodness.
whipped the shower curtain,
Oh, yeah.
and he literally.
Yeah.
I made him shit his pants. Shoot, well, luckily he was on the toilet, so
Oh my
it was
goodness.
as clean a dirty joke as you could do. So
Oh
yes,
man.
Michael, when you see this, I apologize for all the times that I scared you. Yeah, I did stuff like I sat at the end of the hall. My bedroom was the first one. He came up the stairs. The the hallway was long. And his bedroom was down at the end of the hall, and his was to the right, and my mom, dad's master was to the left. And there was like a full length mirror on the wall. I one time sat there with a candle.
Oh my gosh. So you're very patient and have a lot of imagination for
Well,
how
in
like
sure. So my I
see
sound
what
like a
happens when you
horrible
grow up
brother.
without internet though? Like this
As I'm telling these stories, one and it, I feel like a horrible brother. I'm really sorry, Michael. It was, yeah. I mean, the trick to really scaring somebody is the patience.
setting the
It's not
scene.
just popping out.
Yeah.
It's because that's kind of cheap.
Wait till
You
they really think they're
you
alone.
gotta, yeah, you gotta invest some time.
Oh
I
my
do not do that anymore. I don't know. You'd have to ask Rick if I ever do it to the kids. I don't think I did. I
I,
could probably
he,
traumatize my brother enough
Rick
for a lifetime.
specifically does not like Halloween, does not like being scared.
Maybe that
So
is
I
on
don't
him.
know if that was
Could have, could have been.
Oh goodness. Well, thank you for the tips on how to effectively scare somebody and the
Yeah.
best ghost story.
Yes, but it needs to be good natured.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think I ever grabbed him or touched him or anything like that.
Under his bed, under
Oh yeah, I did grab him that time. Yeah, that was a
oh,
good one.
okay.
That
Oh
was
my
good.
gosh. Oh, all right. Well, now that I'm all totally creeped
Well,
out.
you're not now, so when you go to bed at night,
Yeah,
you know,
thanks. Thank
you
you.
want to be in the middle of the bed.
Always.
You don't want to be towards the edge because,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Can you sleep with like one leg out, one leg under the covers?
Oh, yeah, yeah, you got to do that.
No, you can't. Yeah,
Yeah.
both in. That's where you're safe.
Oh, well, there's movies where they
Oh
come
no.
right through the middle of the bed, right? I think these were now that I'm thinking about it as I'm telling the stories, like these are all things that I knew would scare the shit out of me. So, I did them to him before he could do them to me, I guess.
Are you a haunted house guy?
No, I
Okay.
mean, I'll go in them, but it's just not my thing.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
just,
terrible to be scared.
yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah. And now that now that inflicted that damage on my brother, as I coming clean here.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like going to scary movies to get scared. I guess there's people who like doing that. I don't know. Do you like doing it?
no, I've never successfully made it through a haunted house. I can't watch scary movies. I am not.
I appreciate the haunted houses, like even the one at Disney's pretty, I mean, I've been in some really good, they're, do they still do, what was it called? Scream in the Dark? Do they still do that?
I don't know.
There used to be like a really elaborate, cool, um, s- Halloween thing. They started at the beginning of October. And I think it was called Scream in the Dark, and they would set it up in a different house every year.
Oh,
And they had actors, and so people would jump out and grab you and scare you, and and it was a big thing. Like when I was in high school, it was a big thing to go and do. I went
no.
into that.
No, I really like costumes. I like dressing up.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like that part of Halloween and the decorations, but the scary part, not so much.
yeah,
Necessarily.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Always check under your bed.
Oh, great. Okay. And with that, so we have Darby with us now. Darby also is with Clear Cannabis, and she has a spooky story of her own. Thanks for joining us and telling us your story.
Thank you. So this actually did not happen to me. It happened to my little cousin Ray, and she's 8 now. And when they first moved in to this historic house in Longmont, it was all fine, and it was pretty great until a month after moving in, Ray started getting rashes on her backs, like really weird rashes. And she started telling her mom that she was seeing a ghost. She was seeing like a really creepy shadow figure at night in her room. And Ray got so scared to the point where she would not sleep in her bedroom anymore. She would tell her mom, being like, I don't like this. It feels weird. I cannot go to sleep. I'm really scared, Mom. And so she actually moved up to the basement, and they restored the basement. I mean, not the, I mean, the attic. Sorry, they restored the attic for her, and now that's her bedroom. And they just keep the room that she was scared a guest room. And Ray still started getting rashes on her back up until the point where my Aunt Stephanie started talking to her friend who was really into that kind of stuff. And she said, Oh, you need to give them a gift. If this is an actual ghost, you need to give them a gift as a, like, here, I respect you, but please stay away from us. And so what my aunt did was she baked cookies. She had like little trinkets, and she put it on the front lawn of our house for like a week. And after a week, rashes were gone. Ray never saw the ghost again. Nothing.
Weird.
But it was like always weird, like cow patches on her back, and it was really scary. But yeah, she still lives in the attic. She's still pretty scared that it might come back, but she has not seen it in a really long time. And it is kind of scary because I've heard from a lot of different people that kids up into a certain age can see ghosts, and so can animals as well until they hit a certain age, and then boom,
Right.
it's like they have a blocker on them.
That's really
Yeah.
interesting. It's interesting the idea of giving a ghost a gift,
I know.
because what exactly does a ghost need?
That's true, but
Right.
then I think about like ofrendas for Dia de los Muertos, and we give gifts. We give them like snacks and flowers and stuff like that, so they have a path to follow and see their family again.
Oh.
So I feel like that might be
part of it.
Yeah, be part of it.
Maybe, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Darby, for telling us your story
Thank you.
on our creepy Halloween special.